Book world. Todd Lyles here with you. Got a fresh haircut and I got a hot topic. And if you guys have been monitoring the social world, then you know that this topic is a hot one right now. And it's the impact of the Louis Bruno arrest and charges. Now, let me start off by saying I don't personally know Louis. Okay? I don't personally know Louis. I don't personally know any of the people that worked in his company. And frankly, I have no idea if they did any of the things that were claimed against them. Now, I will say where there's smoke, there typically is fire, but I want to make it clear that I personally have no evidence of this guy's guilt or his innocence. I know Lewis like most of you guys know Lewis out there, right? He's made a pretty big splash in the social world. He's built a sizable company at least once, if not twice, and he's done it at a relatively young age, which means he's gotten people's attention. But right now, what he's got his attention for most of the world is that he has some pretty serious accusations and he's in jail right now. And what's fascinating is that the group, HVC owners and managers, it's one that I think he's an administrative person on. It's a pretty beneficial group. There's a lot of value that is shared there by a lot of different people. So that's kind of my, interaction with Lewis. But what I also know is that this has a really powerful impact on the industry. The industry. If you are in the heating and air conditioning business, I can guarantee you that this is going to have an impact on you. And if you're in my world of consulting and training, also can guarantee you that there's going to be an impact there as well. So I'm just going to talk about those three impacts that I know that when a relatively public figure gets arrested and it's connected to an industry, what it has. These impacts are true for Lewis, and these impacts would be true for anyone. It'd be the same impact if Elon Musk got arrested. It'd have a huge impact on the electric car industry. So here's number one: decreases trust. It decreases trust. I guarantee you that there is a decrease in trust for companies that might look like Lewis's company. Now, when I talk about looking like Lewis's company, I'm talking about companies that are doing a good job of branding themselves. They look like top tier companies. And Lewis did a great job of branding himself from what I can tell. And I think most of the people that watch this are probably doing a great job of branding themselves. Well, I can share with you that if not handled correctly, that this is going to have an impact on the trust factor that clients are going to have. And that sucks. That sucks to see an organization be negatively impacted for offering what is considered to be premier services and premier branding, which is one of the reasons why this is bad for the industry as a whole. Because if we're wanting to bring premier services and premier branding, and there's a negative connotation that goes with that, that's damaging. Number two, decreases value, which is tied back directly to decreasing trust. When the trust factor is being decreased for premier branded type companies, then obviously that's reducing the value. Again, let me stress it for those that might be jumping in midstream. I don't know Lewis. I've never been in his business. I've never trained any of his people. I have zero idea what they were doing in the field. All I'm talking about is how it has an effect on us that are in the field doing our job, especially those in those areas. So it decreases the potential value of what you're offering as a business owner and as a sales rep. Not good. Now, what every great salesperson knows, right? And by the way, when I say salesperson, I don't think that's a negative thing. To me, selling is about educating someone honestly and ethically. So what every great, honest, ethical educator of services knows is that when these things come up in the market, you can either be a victim to it or you can make adjustments to them. And obviously, you're going to make adjustments to them. If you're in the Florida area right now, I can promise you this is probably going to come up in your next presentation with a homeowner. And if you know that's the case, then this is what you need to do starting now. You need to talk through your guiding principles as a company. You need to talk through your guiding principles as a company, the things that make sure that your client's taken care of from an honest, ethical standpoint. You need to talk them through. You need to retrain on them, and you need to practice how do you address the concerns if your client tries to put you inside of the same box that their perception of Louis is in. You need to separate yourself from that. That means you're going to need to practice that. You're going to need to work on that. All right? So be prepared. Now let's talk about a positive. If you realize this and you're in that area, you know as well as I do that any objection, even objections along these lines, is a request for information. Clients want to know that this isn't going to happen to them. That's an opportunity for you, which brings us to number 3. There's a great positive that can come out of this, which is a realignment of values and operational excellence. A realignment of values and operational excellence. One of the things that you hear in these type of circumstances is something along the lines of, well, the leader of the organization wasn't aware that those things were going on if they weren't going on. And I'd be the first to admit that as a leader, you don't know everything everyone's doing. You can't. And as your organization gets bigger, it becomes more difficult to be aware of what every single person is doing, which is why values and operational excellence are so critical. It's why having guiding principles that define your heart and your culture of your business, for us, for the sake of example, one of our guiding principles is understanding empathy. We want our team members and our clients to know that we understand them and that we care about them. And we do real things to put that understanding empathy out there. Another guiding principle is utmost integrity. We will do absolutely nothing ever that violates our personal convictions or our personal integrity. So these guiding principles are important. All of our team members have these guiding principles. There's 8 core guiding principles in our company. You as a company have got to have guiding principles, and you got to have reinforcement of those guiding principles along with operational excellence. We can't know everything as a leader, but what we can do as a leader is set the standard. We can set the stage. We can talk about principles, morals, ethics, values. We can put those out there. We can document them. We can include them on posters that we put up on the wall like we do in our office. We can put them in our company handbooks, get people to read them, get people to agree to them, get people to endorse them. We can do our absolute best through values and operational excellence to do our best to make sure that these type of things don't happen inside of our companies. Now again, I don't know Louis. I can't say this enough because I don't want people to say I'm bashing the guy. I don't know him. It's terrible what's happened to the people that had those things occur to them as homeowners. If that happened to them, and it looks like it did, that's terrible for them. Justice will be served. So I make no claims of defense or guilt. I don't know the guy. I'm going to let the legal system work that out. What I do know is it's got a negative impact on this industry, and it's going to affect those of you out there that do this every single day. And as a person that's here to help you turn learning into earning, I feel like this was a topic that, while might be touchy to some that do know Louis, my point is not to offend or to point a finger to cause blame, but my point is to point out that you are going to have to deal with this in the field, and you don't need to stick your head in the sand, and you need to be prepared. All right. By the way, this is true. Whatever the name may be put in here, fill in the name of the person that gets in trouble for doing something in their community that's in your industry. That could be anyone's name because it happens pretty regularly. So my advice to you is be educated, be aware, build your trust, have conversations, work on this, know what you're going to say, have your evidence, have your client testimonies, have the things that show that you have done things the right way. You know, think about Ken Goodrich. He told a story last week about a client. Something happened. I don't remember the exact details, but they were not satisfied. Ken gave them all their money back, sent them an apology, called them. You know, doing those things represents, at least in my opinion, that Ken understands that making sure that the client knows that you're there to take care of them is important. That's going to be part of their story at Gettle. They're going to be able to use that story to say, hey, look, we do our best to step in the gaps. I think of Alan O'Neill at Abacus. I've been in his office. I've witnessed clients call in with concerns. I've listened to the conversation. This is years ago. And from what I could tell, the client's concern wasn't actually founded. It was just the client having a concern. But what Alan did was he listened to the client. He heard them, and he took care of the issue. Because at the end of the day, perception is reality. And we have to step in, and we have to make sure that we protect our culture. We have to make sure that we protect our brand. And sometimes that means giving money back. Sometimes that means, apologizing for misunderstandings. It just means doing the right thing. So do these things. Be prepared. And that's it. Hey, if you've got questions or comments, post them. Look, I understand it's an interesting topic. Why don't we keep our questions and comments focused on how this experience can help us improve and what we need to do to make sure that we improve. There's too much negativity in the world right now. That's no defense of anyone. I just know there's too much negativity in the world. When I put this on the board, I really was thinking, how can this help you? So if you've got some helpful comments, if you've got some thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Hope this was received in the manner that it was meant. God bless, and go turn learning into earning.